Now that Ariel's set up for her gig, she's gonna come and tape down her cables. We tape cables because we want to prevent trip hazards so people don't trip over cables and hurt themselves or damage equipment. So she's gonna pull the cables up against the wall and she's gonna tape it down. She's gonna be sure that she doesn't pull it too tight so we don't damage the connectors on the ends. Next, she's gonna make a straight path from the wall to the stage. And it's a good practice to keep your cables flat and next to each other and in an organized line so you don't have to cross over cables when you're going in different directions. So she'll put a piece of gaff perpendicular on the cables about every foot. When she gets to the end, one of the cables is going up on stage, so she's gonna make sure that comes down nicely and gets tucked up against the stage, leaving little slack so that'll prevent any other trip hazards. Now we come to the front of the stage, and we can use natural barriers that will help us keep our cable out of the walkway. So here, Ariel's just tucking it under the orchestra pit fence. And you always want to make sure that you hold one end down so when you pull it, the parts that you tucked underneath don't come out. She's going to come all the way up to where the aisle is so she can make a nice 90-degree turn to minimize the amount of space the cable will be traveling. All right, now we come up to our main aisle. So what Ariel is going to do is she's going to put an anchor piece of tape down to hold the cable, and that'll just be a small strip perpendicular to the cable. And then she's going to come and pull the cable taut across the aisle and right up next to the chair. That way it'll make another straight line through the aisle. And then she's going to put another anchor point down so the cable won't move while she tapes it. And for this cable, because it's a main aisle, she'll gaff the entire length of the cable to prevent anybody from tripping. So she'll put the cable, she's going to run the piece of tape parallel to the cable, keeping the cable in the middle of the tape, and she'll pull the tape out and just tape the entire length of the cable. If you have multiple cables, you may need to run multiple pieces of tape across so you get nice coverage on the floor with the tape. Now we're going to tape the cable between the chairs. So we'll be doing basically the same thing as the main aisle. She'll pull the cable taut between the chairs and she'll put an anchor down at each point. And the anchors also just keep the cables a little bit more secure if people do kick it or step on the cable. Now that she put the anchors down, she'll run a piece of tape across the length of the cable. Now you want to be sure to make sure that the main piece of tape is in the main aisleway that the people will be walking in. Now that she's done with that, she'll move on to the next aisle. And she's going to skip taping where the chairs are just because it's not necessary, because nobody will be walking in those areas. Now Ariel got magically transported outside. She's going to make the cable look nice against the speaker stand. So first, she's going to get her piece of gaff tape. And she has a 4-inch piece of gaff tape, which is a little too wide for something like this. So she's going to rip it in half so she has nice, smaller pieces. All right, now that she's got 2 narrower pieces of tape, she's going to first start off by making a courtesy tab. This is done just by folding the edge over. So when you pull the tape off, you have a little somewhere to grab the tape instead of trying to figure out where the end is. So now she's gonna pull her cable up against her speaker stand, making sure that she's not pulling too tight and leaving a little bit of slack for the connector on the end. And she's just gonna wrap the tape around the speaker stand and around the cable. And just make sure it sits nicely on the back of the speaker stand. Now with her second piece, she's gonna do the exact same thing. She's gonna make her courtesy tab. And then she's gonna pull her cable up to the speaker stand. And she'll wrap it around. You wanna make sure that you leave the courtesy tab end on the top and you don't tape it underneath. That way it's on the outside when you go to strike the cable. And then she'll just make sure the rest of the cable is traveling straight down the speaker stand, making a nice 90-degree angle onto the ground. That way there will be no trip hazards. Good job, Ariel. 2 thumbs up.